Hockey is such a better sport to watch when you don't have any sort of rooting interest. Like you don't like there's not a specific sport, like there's not a specific team that you want to win, and but you want but you're just watching for the love of the game. That said, I will still let my voice be heard on and who I personally want to win the Stanley Cup this year. Uh Honestly, it's either the Flames or the Avs. Who's who's I just I cannot first of all, I don't want Edmonton to advance. I like McDavid and Draisaitl, but we'll go into why I don't want Edmonton to win a little bit later on. But the Flames, they're kind of due for they're kind of due. God damn, I have the hiccups again. And the Avs, we're also gonna get into that a little bit later. But just I I love the Avalanche, and they've been going through some stuff as of late. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Jocelyn. Evander Kane made me break my phone. Freeman, uh, yeah, I don't. Yeah, I guess that's why I don't want Edmonton to win. Evander Kane, and and yeah, I don't like the fact that that he's still around. He's still just be. He has the most smug as face. He has the most smug as play. He's evidence that you can play the 3-card Monty on in ice skates. Just hey, focus everybody on McDavid and Draisaitl. Focus everybody there. Oh, hey, Evander Kane's right there at the slot. I'm gonna pass him. But this video isn't about Evander Kane. Yeah, I guess I was also gonna say something about Carolina. The Nazem Kadri stuff. Even as a Bruins fan, I stand with Nazem Kadri. I stand with Kadri on this one. Honestly, I feel like the play was sort of akin to the Pasternak hit on Tiranta in game 2. Oh, was it a hit that needed to happen? Not necessarily. Was it a hit that was dirty, that had malicious intent by in it and was dirty in nature? Again, not really. But fans are taking it way too fucking far. And Jordan Bennington is the biggest fucking crybaby in hockey right now. He is the biggest crybaby I have ever seen. I mean, like Jordan Losington. In congrats, you posted a freaking what is it up an 899 save percentage up to this point. I mean, be happy that you didn't post worse. And you've slowly just been getting worse and worse ever since 2019. Just admit that. Just embrace the fact that that you're just not good. But this this isn't about him either. This is about a tier list for the Boston Bruins. What is it? Throughout the earlier today, low quality Bruins fan, and I love you, dude. Of he made a video about his opinions on about his basically report card for the entire team. And I thought, you know what, I want to do the same. So that is what I'm going to do. Sorry for the lighting change. Just had to make sure that there wasn't so much glare that you couldn't see the what was on the whiteboard. So I have every player on offense currently ranked, and I have S tier, A tier, B tier, C tier, D tier, F tier, and I will be going down them from, and I will be going through each decision from F tier all the way up to S tier. So let's get it started. First on F tier, we have Nick Foligno. Anybody could. First of all, I have to say, it's kind of like with low qualities, kind of like with low qualities report cards today. This will be about just expectations going in and like play on ice is not really in terms of like contract signing, but Nick Foligno was just 2 goals, 11 assists for 13 points in 64 games. Easily one of the most disappointing players all season. And honestly, I could have told you that this signing would have been this would have been bad for the Bruins. And I know Toronto traded a first and 2/4 for Foligno last year, and that was also bad. But that being bad doesn't make the shit of this one stink any less. Yes. Were there some points in which Foligno was good on ice? Yeah, there were. Yeah, obviously, you can't have an entire season of being just complete dog piss. Yes. There were some points where he would seek revenge on someone. There were some points where he was just but those moments were few and far between, and in the rest of the time he was just, why are you out on the ice? Why are you even here? So that ultimately is why Foligno ends up in the his only buddy in F tier, Jack Studnicka. This is something that this is one that I think I'm going to get quite a few disagreements here. Jack Studnicka, 15 games, 0 goals, 3 assists, 3 points. Jack Studnicka is the biggest failure in terms of prospect management, in terms of prospect development the Bruins have had since probably Zach Senyshyn. I know that's not really saying much, but still. We keep hearing so often, and Studnicka's so good. He's gonna he'd be great if he just kept playing, if he played on a line with good players instead of Foligno and Nosek and Lazar. Here's the thing: if you can't get regular minutes over those guys, and when you do get minutes, you're on a line with them, and you aren't producing. I think that's a problem with your play, and people want to make the argument that he has no good line mates. Here's the thing: if he is really as good as you say he is, then he should be able to elevate the play of players around him. He was expected to take a step forward this year. All he got was a step either sideways or back or backwards. And so that is why freaking Jack Studnicka is on to D tier. We have to start us off, Tomáš Nosek. Nosek, I felt like at near the end of the season and in the playoffs, I mean, let's start off. If the dude had 3 goals, 14 assists for 17 points in 75 games, in 75 regular season games. In the playoffs, give me once. In the playoffs, he had. Sorry for the. He had 0 goal. He had just 2 assists. Were there some points in which Nosek was decent? Sure, he was. Sure, penalty kill. He was honestly kind of a decent guy. He was. He definitely was, to quote Melody Martin, a bottom 6 forward that'll really help the PK. But other than that, he was just an average fourth line guy. He wasn't. I don't think he really did much to cement his relevance on the team. I was kind of rooting for him, but ultimately, I think he just didn't really live up to any sort of expectations that were placed on him, other than just being decent at penalty kill. Next up, we have one of the more frustrating players on this, Trent Frederick. Now, Frederick. 8 goals, 10 assists, is 18 points in 60 games, in 60 regular season games. In the playoffs, he and completely benched after 4 games in the playoffs. Frederick was frustrated. Like I said, Frederick was frustrating. He had a knack for taking really bad penalties. He would just launch the puck like bucket. Coyle or Smith is down there somewhere. He didn't really do much to and he was definitely the poster boy for play with aggression, play with intensity, and not anger, because he played with anger. And was that good for making other teams scared? Probably. Was it good for keeping us off the penalty kill? Not in the slightest. I expected him to take just a little bit of a step forward. I expected him to have at least 20 points this season, and fell short of 20 points, and didn't really step up his game beyond beating the piss out of anybody that crosses path. Now to end off D tier, we have Craig Smith. Do y'all remember Craig Smith? The dude. Just 1 second. Craig Smith's last year, 13 goals, 19 assists for 32 points in 54 games. He was Craig Smith was, he was a valuable part of this team. Fast forward to this year, Craig Smith has 16 goals and 20 assists for 36 goals in 74 games. About comparable, but really, did anybody hear Smith's name in like the latter half of the season? And like it felt like for the most part, a lot of his production came in the first half of the season, before the All-Star break, before the trade deadline, before the COVID stoppage, before any of that. That's when I felt like Smith made the biggest splash. However, afterwards, it was kind of a radio silent. It was mostly just, hey, let me just be the guy to have the puck so that Coyle so that Coyle can finish for me. And considering he spent a lot of the time on in the top six last year, I thought he was going to be something akin to that this year, and he wasn't. So D tier. Now for C tier. C tier is about the okay, you met your expectations. First up for C tier, we have Curtis Lazar. Eight goals, 8 assists for 16 points in 70 games. I gotta be honest, Lazar had a pretty good second half of the season, and I felt like he was pretty good at sniffing out the puck. He played with grit. He played pretty damn well all down the stretch. Which I'm not sure how. I don't think he did too awful in the playoffs. There were, I mean, let's not mince words. He could have easily hit. He probably could have been able to hit 20 points this season, and is it a bad thing that he didn't? Not necessarily, but like it's about what I expected from him. I do also expect him to get to re-sign this up to re-sign soon when his contract is up. I forget when his contract is up, and I don't exactly have Cap Friendly right in front of me. I don't exactly have Cap Friendly pulled up right in front of me. I have ESPN pulled up on my cracked ass phone, and so I don't know when his contract is up, but I expect us to re-sign him, and I'm hoping that he ends up getting better results once in the future. Next up in C tier, we have Anton Bleed. Bleed didn't really play much this year. 2 goals, 7 assists, 9 points. I mean, fourth line guy. Honestly, just the fact that he had. I remember when we called him. I remember when he made the opening night roster, not like starting, but like we had this dude up instead of Nika. Who the fuck do these people think they are? And who the hell is Anton Bleed? But Bleed didn't really do too bad. He there were definitely a bunch of times where he was just invisible on the ice. But he was also a fourth line guy, and he ended up having better results than Foligno. Oh, I feel like if Bleed were to play out the season, he could have probably hit 20 points. But I don't know what the Bruins do with him. I feel like they could probably. I feel like they're probably gonna use him as like a fourth line plugger, but I don't know. Oh, I think he played about how I expected him to. Oh, not really any expectations. Didn't really have any expectations that got blown away or played down to. So C tier. And last up in C tier, we have Eric Halla. Did Eric Halla have a really good second half? Yes, he did. Eric Halla had a beautiful second half, finishing the season with 18 goals, 26 assists, and is for 44 points in 78 games. Beautiful stats. I love that. Beautiful stats. I like that. If he's on like the third line. Thing is, I feel like Halla filled out his role on the second as a second line center pretty well, but he still left a lot to be desired from a second line center position. And it was like, hey, you're the center to Pasternak and David Pasternak and Taylor Hall. Oh, go nuts! You have go nuts! You have free reign. But honestly, that was we just need him to be the guy to give the puck up and to give the puck to those guys. And he did that. I didn't expect much. I guess you could call this like a C plus or something like that. A C plus tier. So that's where Holla is. I fully expect the Bruins to get a second line center in the offseason. Up to B tier. This is where they're starting to play pretty well and pretty above expectations. You got to start us off. We have Taylor Hall. I know a lot of people were kind of disappointed with the 20 goals, 41 assists for 61 points in 81 games. Sure, it's not really. You're not getting the same Taylor Hall that won the Hart Trophy like a few years ago. We're not getting that Taylor Hall again, and I don't think we're ever going to get that Taylor Hall again. And would it be nice to? Absolutely, but we're not getting that guy. And honestly, as for a second line winger, I think this is probably on the better side of what we could have expected for him. I feel we could have probably seen just a little bit more scoring from him, but honestly, for what he brought to the table last season, and with like 14 points in 16 games, we knew that was an unsustainable stretch, but it was still a good stretch. But I feel like this was definitely this is about what we expected, if not just a little bit better. So Taylor Hall, well, congratulations, you're in B tier. His buddy in B tier is Jake DeBrusk. I liked Jake DeBrusk. And I think going in, we expected him to be average at best. I mean, what do you expect with DeBrusk? You expect someone who's streaky, who isn't really going to be putting up insane amounts, who was going to have like a hot month and then a cold month and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And that's kind of what we got. I remember a lot of us wanted him traded. He wanted himself traded. And then afterwards, Cassidy said, "You know what? We're gonna put you on the top line," and he exploded. Jake DeBrusk had quite possibly one of the best months of his hockey career, and I loved it. I loved watching Jake DeBrusk, but ultimately, it felt like he did that because he was on a line with Bergeron and Marchand. I love them. I love all three of them, but it definitely felt like it was these guys elevating DeBrusk rather than DeBrusk elevating himself or DeBrusk elevating the people around him. Is that necessarily what we need him to be? No, not really. But having a guy of his caliber being dependent on what center on who's his center is kind of is, I don't know, not really what we want to hear. But hearing him get 25 goals and 17 assists that's good. Gets B tier. Up to A. I know it's weird to put the Selke nominee here, but Patrice Bergeron my absolute favorite player of all time. My favorite Boston Bruin of all time. My favorite NHL player of all time. He deserved an A tier this season, and you know he was definitely playing through some injuries. Is the uncertainty of like where am I going to go this next off season? And it definitely weighed on him a little bit. I think especially the injury is and the concussion, and but ultimately I feel like Bergeron played a fantastic game. We expected him to be a little bit on the decline, and we expected that last season. Didn't really happen. We expected it this season. He put up 25 goals, 40 assists, and for 65 points in some 73 games. So it didn't really happen this season. And if he had gotten a point per game, it would have been an S tier. Kind of like with again, like with low qual, it would have been an A plus if Bergeron had a point per game. His buddy on an A tier is his right. So his A tier buddy is his A tier line mate Brad Marchand, and honestly, Marchand. I mean, one of the big stories was he surpassed Chris Pronger for most suspended games in an NHL career. Not sure exactly if that's a number you want to surpass this, but 63 he had a pretty damn good season. I mean, absolutely in the playoffs, 11 points in 7 games is incredible. I love that. It's exactly the type of production that we need, especially in the offseason, especially in the postseason. But other than that, 32 goals, 48 assists is for 80 points in 70 games. Over a point per game at any level is it's really good. It shows consistency it shows consistent play on ice is at a top level, and to do that while missing like 12 games due to suspension, and that was missing 3 because of the Oliver Ekman Larson and slew foot, and then there was missing 6 because of the Jari punch, and then actually I think three of it was for shoulder. I think 2 of it was for shoulder problems. 1 of it was for COVID. But losing that time and still managing to perform at the level he did, Marchand deserved an A tier, and I think he would have deserved an S tier if he had played, if he had gotten enough to, if he had been able to play more. I don't think he needed to slew foot at OEL. Oh, and so I don't think that he deserved to. I don't think that. Jesus, the bad part about recording it like 10 o'clock at night. Now, on to S tier. We have David Pastrnak. With how the offseason went, we had expectations that this was going to be a different year for Pastrnak. He came in with one of the worst things you could possibly have happen into you, something tragic. absolutely tragic. Rest in peace, Vigio Pasternak. And 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 I feel like the entire Boston, all of Boston was, I feel was like, honestly, if you take the year off, we won't blame you. Oh, but he didn't. He didn't take the year off, and not only did he not take the year off, he managed to crack. He managed to hit 40 goals. 40 goals, those 37 assists, 77 in points in 72 games. David Pastrnak played so well. So well. Well, had that insane run in like January of just insane of playing great hockey. I loved him. And I feel like there's no way that you can't give him an S tier for this. Well, someone who I didn't expect to be putting at S tier, but did. Charlie Coyle. Charlie Coyle was. I went into the season being like, he's Charlie Coyle. He's overpaid. All that. This isn't about contracts. This is about play on ice. And for a third line center, he played incredible. Oh, puck handling was insane. I mean, he was able to make plays. He was able to generate momentum. 16 goals, 28 assists, 44 points in all 82 games. He's the only player on the Bruins to have played all 82 games. And I like that. I feel like Charlie Coyle definitely found his groove on that third line. And I know we tried to what is it? We tried to make him a second line center. It didn't work. And he thrives so well with a third line job. If he stays there, he's gotta take a discount when his contract is up. But that isn't something that we need to deal with until his contract is up. So that is really just the end of the offense. And so we had Foligno and Studnicka in F tier. We had Nosek, Frederick Smith in D tier. Lazar, Bleed, and Howla in C tier. In B tier, we had Hall and DeBrusque. In A tier, we had Bergeron and Marchand. And in S tier, we had Pastrnak and Coyle. Well, now on to defense. Now for defense, one thing that you'll notice is that there's no S tier. There's nobody in S tier. So, well, that isn't to say that that the gap between the play of A tier and B tier, the gap between A tier and B tier isn't incredible, because it really isn't. But let's start with F tier. What do you want me to say about Josh Brown? He really was just there as like, screw it. It's the seventh body. It's a seventh player to slot in, and not necessarily someone that we need to play. And yeah, we didn't need to play him. We didn't need to do anything with him. We didn't really even need to trade for him. So belongs in F tier. Now for D tier, we got this schmuck right here. Brandon Carla. Oh. What did I say all season long? This dude is 6'5". This dude consistently plays like he's 5'10". Like he is not 5'10", like he's 5'8", like he's shorter than Grizzly. he does not use his size to his advantage. He does not make any sort of decent defensive plays. He is a 6'5" tree. If you run into him, it's gonna hurt. But he's so immobile and defenseless that you almost have to be trying to run into him if you him. So that is why Brandon Carlo is in deep. Now, alongside in him, we have number 9, Mike Riley. Riley, I thought that he was going to be. I thought that he was going to be. He was going to capitalize off of what he did after the deadline last season. I thought he was going to be. I thought that he was going to slot in pretty well on the second pair with Carlo. I thought that he would be a little bit more creative with the puck. I thought that he was going to be. I thought that he was going to give the Bruins just a little bit more gas, but all he did was take countless high sticking penalties. Seriously, there was like a stretch of like 5 or 6 games in a row in which he took high sticking penalties. It was frustrating. It was so frustrating. It made me unhappy to see it. So, unfortunately, Mike Riley belongs in D tier. To round out D tier, we have number 28, Derek Forbort. Do I think that the Forbort-Clifton pairing ramped up pretty well near the end stretch? Yeah, sure. The thing is, there was a solid 2.5 months where Forbort was almost a non-option. He just was not playing well. He was like Carlo, but somehow even worse. There's just too much of a inconsistent roller coaster for me to place him anywhere better than D tier. Now to C tier again, this is for these guys are C tier is basically just guys who are playing about how I expected them. Grizzlick, number 48, Grizzlick. I don't know. I expected him to. I'm not gonna lie. I expected him to take a bit of a backseat this season. I expected him to drop off just a little bit, mostly because I was expecting Earl Vakanainen to be more of a contributing factor in this defense, and ultimately that didn't happen, which is why ultimately that didn't happen. I don't have Vakanainen on this thing, mostly because he didn't finish at the season with us. He didn't really play enough games for us to get a good glimpse at him. I wish that we did. I kind of wish that we hung on to Vakanainen, but I will get into that later. Grizzlick, he just was playing so inconsistently with a bad shoulder. It hampered his play. But I also expected him to be around like this. I expected him to not really be as much of a contributor as he was. So he gets the not so coveted C tier. Now, the other one for C tier is going to confuse people, and honestly, it confused me when I made it. Connor Clifton. This is sort of another thing of what do you want me to say? Clifton is a lot like the defenseman. Sorry about that. My dad had to throw a hat in. But what do you really want me to say about Clifton? It was Clifton is the defenseman version of like Jordan Binnington, where he is mediocre he is mediocre, not really that good in the regular season, but near the end and in the postseason, he is a godsend. Just Clifton was absolutely playing his best hockey near the end stretch, and yes, he did have that game against Toronto that I absolutely railed on him for, that he absolutely deserved every bit of criticism for. But other than that, like the last month and a half of hockey was pretty good, and especially the postseason, he played incredible. Well, honestly saying it like this, I feel like, and honestly, last season I expected him to be. Last season, I also expected him to just be like an inconsistent third pair, kind of not great. And I mean, he sort of was that. So I guess C is exactly right in that he met expectations. But that's, yeah. For B is weird. Jakub Zaboral. Well, played only 10 games before tearing his ACL. Unfortunate. Maron. I am hoping to God that he comes back next year. That he comes back and plays the way he did last season, because he was playing like a legitimate top 4 defenseman before he got hurt. I liked seeing Jakub Zaboral on the ice. Yes. And honestly, what I'm hoping for is within the next 2 years, after we just signed this extension to him, for him, he can hopefully play at a level that can make Brandon Carlo extraneous. I feel like Zaboral's play could potentially make us want to trade Carlo, because he plays really well. Now for A tier, it should come as no surprise is the 2 names up here, Charlie McAvoy and Hampus Lindholm. Both of which are clear reasons as to why Carlo is not a top 4 defenseman, because the role of big strong defense isn't really what we need right now. What we need is to adapt to speed, and what these guys did was provide a quickness element to the game. Both of them would routinely were strong physical defensemen, and that were able to have good enough puck handling, and create enough opportunities is to not only play defense, but also to not only play like strong nose defense, but also to play up to play on the offense. And sure, Lindholm never scored a goal for us. Hasn't scored a goal for us. But these 2 guys, they're extended to the same contract. So to the same term. So I feel like we're gonna be seeing a lot of them, and I feel like honestly, Chucky, you'll get S tier when you get a Norris when you're a Norris finalist, and don't worry about me putting that stipulation on you, because I know for a fact that you can do it. Goalies. This is gonna be weird, because we're gonna start with Rask. Honestly, D tier. And I know that isn't. I don't know. I don't think that's fair to him. I don't think that's fair to him. But it's also, I just don't know where to put him. Yeah. So Tuukka Rask comes back, plays 4 games, and he goes, I think either 2-2 or 1-3, and just does not look right. He retires after the 4th game, and it's just, it was heartwarming to see him come back, and then it was depressing to see him try and play. Yeah. And so I thought when he was coming back, I thought that he was gonna be back for the rest of the season. I thought that he was gonna be like some. I thought that he was gonna be like in our reserves or something like that, just hanging out, well, probably down in Providence. Again, I wholeheartedly believe that we rushed him back to the show too quickly. But honestly, even then, I feel like he didn't play as well as he probably could have. But also at the same time, he was still dealing with recovery, so I can't really fault him too much. But he's still getting a D. Oh, I am falling asleep doing this. I'm sorry, but I I'm also gonna give Swayman and Allmark both B tiers. They both had around the same stats. They had around a 2.4 to 2.6 goals against average, around a 0.915 save percentage. They both played comparable hockey. They both played comparable goalie, and honestly, I expected Swayman to at least keep a little bit of the form that he had when he came back from in his post Rask era, but for what it's worth, the defense played better, and everybody played better in front of Swayman than Allmark. And honestly, I feel like that might be. Honestly, I feel like that's kind of dumb. Y'all should be playing great in front of both of these two. These two absolute teddy bears. I love them. But honestly, it's not like S tier would be like you're playing like Igor did this year. A tier, you're playing like Jack Campbell before you're playing like pre-COVID Jack Campbell. Well, just on a consistent basis. Yes. And neither of them really did it, but both of them played really good. I expected Swayman to make to step up, and he absolutely stepped up. I don't know exactly what I expect from Allmark, but I expected him to be decent, and he honestly was more than decent. So that is why both starting goalies are in B. And that ultimately is the end of my Bruins 2021-2022 tier list. I will be back probably. I will probably be back by when the at the draft, or something like that, or during free agency, or maybe I make some stupid ass videos in the interim. I don't know, but that is it for tonight. So I may also be back for the. I may also be back for the cup final. Damn. damn, wishing Toronto out of the playoffs was like this was the second finger on the monkey's paw, wasn't it? Those of you who are wondering what the first finger on the monkey paw was, the wish was that I would be a woman, and and the finger forgot to tell me, oh yeah, you're gonna lose everybody. You're gonna lose all of your familial support doing this. Enough about jokes about me being trans. And click like, subscribe, leave a comment. Please just help me out with the algorithm. I want to grow this into something bigger. I want to at the very least go into next season with 20 subscribers. Please, it would just be amazing. And you get some sleep, nerd.